Good afternoon, Muscle Car Corner here at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals with Paul Rossi. He's a legend in drag racing, and I'm so happy that I got a chance to talk to you.
Nice
Pleasure
to meet you.
meeting you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I've been a fan for many years, and of course, this car is a legend. You know, tell me about maybe your career, how you got started in drag racing, your first drag car, whatever you want to start with there.
It's a little complicated. However, it's simple. I built my first hot rod when I was 14. I bought a 51 Mercury.
Nice.
I saw the James Dean movie, Rebel Without a Cause, and he had that slammed Mercury in there, 49 or 50 Merc.
Yep.
And so I got a 51 Merc, pulled a 239 flathead out, put an Oldsmobile engine in it, and I got it running 4 days before I turned 16.
Wow.
And so there it was. I built the headers for it, and I put tri-power on it, if you can believe that, because
Wow.
Oldsmobile had a J2 manifold. You could buy a stock from 57, and the thing at the Oldsmobile dealer was $28
Really?
for a cast iron. Yeah, and then I went to the junkyard, got some carburetors, and had the first six-pack. And that's ironic because six-pack gave me I started this legend with the 446 pack.
Wow.
So I started my first car with a six pack.
That's
How about
cool.
That? That's pretty cool.
It is.
And I bought an adapter from Honest Charlie for $25. Put a 37 Ford transmission floor shift on it. Bolted the Oldsmobile up, and off we went. I had an overhead valve, slammed. I think we called them lead sleds back in the day. Had big bubble skirts on it.
Yeah.
And everything was going good until one night, about 4 or 5 months into the deal, I was racing a couple of kids in their mom's 56 Chevy. And they about gave me my lunch. And I'm going, they don't know anything about cars, and I got all this. And so wait a minute. The next day I put my car up for sale, and I said, I'm going to buy a Chevy, and then we're going to see where we go. So I bought a 57 Chevy convertible for $1,480.
Wow.
And
brand new?
No, it was used.
Okay.
This is 59. And the payments on it, my mom signed for me. They were like $44 a month,
Wow.
but I was only making $48 a month.
What were you doing?
I was working in a hardware store all through high school.
No
Worked
kidding.
35 hours a week, yeah.
Wow.
And then, but nobody had a 57 Chevy convertible. It was power pack stick. So all my buddies would go and they put the gas in. So, I mean, that's how that stuff worked back then. But double dated, they paid for gas and hot dogs and racer steaks. We call them hot dogs. And that's how we lived then. I mean,
love it.
It's
Sign of the times.
It is, and we went out street racing. I mean, have fun. And of course, Woodward Avenue, I'm from Detroit, the mile roads, 15 mile, 16 mile, 17 mile road, that now it's famous. The Woodward Cruise, the Dream Cruise.
Oh, of course.
Well, that's all from us guys in the 50s.
Really?
Yeah, going there and racing. Back then, that's what you did on Saturday night. Grabbed your gal and
Of course.
off you went,
Yeah.
So, so that's how that's the automotive stuff, right? So that gets your blood going. And then I got a Corvette, a fuel-injected Corvette,
Ooh, what year?
1960.
Nice.
I love it. There's one here,
Trunk
and
car.
I really looked at it. It was white with black guts, and I ran that in C Sports. So that was my first official non-street race car. So I took a
Gotcha.
Detroit Dragway, and I'm running it and doing well. And Detroit Dragway, all the muscle cars are there, from the Ram Chargers are testing there, the Commandos, Color Me Gone.
Wow.
And all the guys, all the engineers are out there, and there's a lot of fast cars up there. So one day, this gentleman comes up to me. He owned Warren Valley Country Club, which is a golf course back then. And he said, you Paul Rossi? I said, yeah. He said, I'd like you to, I need some help with my car. And I said, oh, what do you need? I got my buddies here, we'll go help you. No, I need it, I need somebody to work on it.
Gotcha.
I said, oh, I don't work on people's cars, this is my hobby. And, and he said, I said, besides, you've got a Mopar, there's all these Mopar guys. He said, well, they won't talk to me.
Really?
So, well, I just don't have a place to do it. He said, well, I also own a Sunoco station. Yeah, but that's not a very conducive place to super tune a car because somebody would change it. I'll shut the thing down.
Wow.
Well, you do that? And he goes, yeah. You really need this done? He goes, yeah. He said, and I'll pay you. You'll pay me? I said, yeah. How
That
much?
sounded good.
He said, whatever you want. Be right back. Went back, talked to my 2 high school buddies. Hey, I want to super tune one of these Mopars anyway, see what I can do. What do you say? We get bucks and we can work on their station with a hoist and everything? Yeah. He goes, we're in. So we go over there, and I said, I don't know what he paid me, but it was, So we got there on a Friday, got it done. It's late Sunday night or early Monday, I can't remember. He went to the track and he won the next 4 times in a row.
Wow.
And I go, whoa, man, I need to get one of those and
Super
work on it for
tune.
me. Yeah. So I went down to the new Plymouth dealer called Westbourne Chrysler Plymouth in Dearborn, Ford World, and I walked into the manager's office and I said, I'd like to buy a new Superstock Max Wedge Plymouth, and if you give me the best price you can, I will put your name on the side of it, and it's only for racing. So he said, yeah, I'll talk to our owner, and that was Dick Spencer. So I waited and talked to him, and I told him what he said. Well, Paul, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I just came from Bob Ford, and I was a sales manager down there, and I came up here, and all my buddies are giving me the raspberries, and we had a factory program, race on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yes.
And so you're exactly what I'm looking for. So I said, yeah. I said, I'll buy the car, and I'll put your name on it from the front bumper to the back. And I did. Westbourne Chrysler Plymouth. Started at the front, ended at the quarter panel.
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't hooray for Paul Rossi. This was, I'm advertising for him.
Yes.
So I picked the car up on a wrecker when it came in. I took it home, and my buddies that we were talking about, we all tore the whole car apart. And when we got it all apart, we lightened it. We scraped all the undercoating off, did all that stuff, made tubes where there are solid bars, left parts off, brackets and all that stuff. See you later. Now, the thing was a shell. And so my mom said, hey, you got your new car? Where is it? And I said, it's back there, Mom. She goes, where? And I said, it's back there. We didn't have a garage, so it was under a tree. She goes back there. Oh, my God, what did you do to your car? I said, Mom, I'm helping it. I'm
helping it.
I'm helping it. She says, you did that? That's your first car. And I go, I know, Mom. I said, but it's really important. And I said, you'll see later. Well, anyway, we got the car all done, fast forward. And I did the engine work as well. So,
nice.
and kind of an interesting note, this was a late car. And so one of the last ones, and when I took the intake manifold off, because I hadn't run it, there was a Clark bar wrapper in there, inside the valley cover, in the engine. Holy smokes, I'm really glad I took this apart. So anyway, that's just a sidebar. And then, so I got the engine done, and we did the car, and got it all finished, and it was time for one of the biggest races at Detroit Dragway. People came from all over the United States because there was a big race in Indy. So they had a kind of a welcoming race for Indy at Detroit Dragway, before, kind of a tune-up as well.
Yeah.
Get used to the Eastern air and all that if you're from California, and a lot of people were. Big names from California, Tommy Grove, Dick Landy, and the like.
Different tune.
Yeah, and so here I am with my red Plymouth, and I drive in, says Westbourne on it. I got a guy to letter it, all hand lettering then, no decals.
Nice.
And so I drove up to the track. I was only like 7 or 8 miles away. I drove up there, and the guys go, oh, this is your new car, Paul? Yeah, and said, well, hey, there's a big race this weekend. Guys from all over the country, you're not going to race, right? And I go, no, I'm going to race. And they said, but they got trucks, and this is all, no, I'm going to race. Okay. Is it okay if I race? Yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm going to race. So we had a couple of tires in the back to put on the back.
Sure.
Stock tires from the front. And I made the headers. And so I had mufflers hooked onto the headers. And my buddies were in the back. We had some sparks, a couple of valve cover gaskets, P&G valve gapper, and some jets and rods.
That was about it.
And so, yeah, we went in. So by the end, so fast forward, Sunday night, 2 cars left, Paul Rossi's Westbourne and the Ram Chargers.
Wow.
At the final. Yeah. So everybody's going, who the heck
Who
is
is that guy?
Yeah, exactly. That engine can't be legal. So, yes, but it is. Anyway, so Dave Landreth, who did work for Hearst later on, came up to my car, and he was shaking because all these other guys, well, we need to tear that car down. And now they wouldn't have torn the Ram Chargers down, or anybody else, but since I was right out of left field, they needed to know what was going on. So they said, where's your truck? And I go, I don't have it. How'd you get here? I said, I drove it. You drove that car? And I go, yeah. And so I said, yeah, and I can lock, you can't get in it. And I said, well, I'll lock it up. And I put the key in it, locked the door. And he's going, well, you can't drive it to tear down. And I said, okay. but I can sit in the seat. Yeah, you can sit in the seat. Well, we'll put somebody in it. We're going to drive to a barn over here. And we're going to tear everything apart. We're going to take everything apart. And I go, yeah, it's okay. You sure? And I go, yeah, of course. So we go to the barn. Ramchargers is getting torn down. They didn't want to, but they had to because I was.
Gotcha.
We're in the final. So I got the cylinder head off. They took it over to take the valve out. Look, no porting, everything's stock. Measured my bore, stroke. He said, it's not bored over. I said, I know. He said, well, you can go 60 over. I know. Well, how come you didn't? I said, well, how come I'm in the final and you're not? I said, I don't think there's anybody here that can bore that hole straight. Any auto parts put a quick way boring bar on it and get that hole right. So I left the hole that the factory put in it, and I just honed it to what I want.
Sure.
And so and he goes, oh, okay. And he checked the stroke. Okay, everything's legal here, more than legal. So he goes over the head. He goes up. You're quarter of a cc out. So be right back. Got a spark plug, brand new one. Put it in there. How's it now? It's right on. Thank you. That's what I want to hear. Took it back. Full stamp of approval. One of the Ramchargers came over to me. Dan Mancini said, "You call this guy on Monday."
No
I never bought another
shit.
car.
Wow. What a story. That's super neat.
Can't do that today. Because
No.
see, that way, everybody got their own erector set. Their little Lego set.
Yep.
And you scattered it all apart and you put it all back together. Those are the parts you got. Everybody got the same parts, kind of, sort of. And see who's best at it.
Did you ever build models as a kid?
No.
They didn't have car models.
No, I had real cars. My dad had cars all over
But
the
I
place.
mean, as a kid, I always, was going to Gator National since '72, and I always like to get those models and build them of the cars that I like.
I had the
But
real
it turned
car.
me into a car
My
builder.
first car I worked on was a 32 Ford. I took the cylinder head off when I was 10 years old.
God.
No, I had real cars to work on. Model airplanes. I was an airline pilot. So for
Really?
TWA, yeah. So I did model airplanes, but I never cars. Cars, I had real cars right in the yard.
Gotcha.
My dad had cars tore down everywhere.
Everywhere. Huh?
Yeah,
So
so-
you were a car family.
Yeah,
right from
but
the
my
gate?
dad didn't let me touch his tools.
No.
I had to go in, sneak in at night after he went to work just to get his tools. So the first job I got was I went in and bought a full tool set.
That's neat. You probably still have that tool set, don't you?
I got pieces of it.
That's cool.
I got pieces of it, and I'm 83 years old.
82, man, you don't look a day over 60.
Well, thanks. I feel like some days I feel like I'm 40, other days I feel like I'm just glad to be here.
I'm 62.
I want to
There's
be
days-
anywhere.
There's days I feel like 40 and some I feel like
Yeah,
60. You
yeah.
know, it's just the way
But
it
you know
goes.
what? Shows like this make you feel 20.
Yeah. Well,
People the fans are so great. Yeah.
that's why I wanted to get your story. And let's talk about this car a little bit and what's in it.
Well, this is a pretty interesting car.
What you did to win with this car.
First of all, yeah, that's a good point. So how I came upon this project is that I was racing a Hemi Cuda, one of the Hearst cars.
Wow.
Okay, the 68 Hemi Cuda. I'm in super stock A automatic.
Mm-hmm.
And at the World Finals in 1975, I got down to the final round.
Wow.
And I have to be world champion. So we're at Ontario Motor Speedway, and during this deal, the tech department came over and said, "You've got something in that car that we've never seen before."
Really?
I said, "Yes. I have an active intake manifold." "What does that mean, Paul?" I said, "I have butterflies inside the cross ram. I have moving parts in it." "Well, you can't do that." I knew you were going to say that, so I pulled the rule book up and says, "Intake manifolds are free. FREE. That means whatever I can think of, I can do it until you legislate it out." So active intake manifolds are very prevalent today. They're in Hondas, they're in Porsches, they're in Mitsubishis,
Really?
they're in Mercedes. Yeah, they have butterflies and change the length of the port and they tune it. When you have multiple valve heads, you lose a lot of torque. So they make the runners long for the extra torque and open them up for high end. So that's basically what I did. I had more torque, and I built so much torque in that car that the A-pillar in my A automatic car broke right here on the last round against Bernie Hageman.
Wow.
And because the car broke.
It just twisted.
Yeah, it broke the car.
Twisted
Yeah,
unibody on it.
and the reason was the tremendous amount of torque. But the other thing in my favor is that the track was what today you call it prepped. To there, anytime you go to a national race, your shoes stick to the track.
Gotcha.
So there's just so much bite, and I had the torque to put down, and it was enough in the final round to break
To
the car.
twist the car.
So I'm going 145 down at the end, and the top was peeling off.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So I went around for teardown. I lost. Brittany beat me fair and square, and so I came back, and went to teardown, and I asked Farmer Dispute, who is our tech director, and I reached in here and I put my shoulder up here and raised up, and you could see the whole windshield went up. A car went over the windshield stayed there, and the roof was picked up. And I said, "You go, wow!" And I said, "You're going to have to let us weld the cars to the roll cages."
Yes.
That wasn't allowed then. He said, "Yes, you're right." And so
part of the structure.
So that's
the
the Rossi rule, 1976.
Really?
Yeah. And
you
so
implemented that.
Yeah, I did actually.
Nice.
And so then I go to Chrysler and asked them if, they said I was feeling really good about myself. I'm the fastest Mopar, and I had the world's fastest Superstock in 1975.
Wow.
Sticker automatic, I had the fastest one. So, and tore down and all legal. So they asked me to consider another project. And I said, okay, what do you have? And he said, we'd like you to run the Challenger, and we'd like to have a 440 in it. I was hoping it was going to be a Hemi Challenger. And he said, Paul, we're not funding Hemis at the moment, so everybody has stepped out. This is the largest engine package we have left, and we're giving it to you. And I said, but you've given it to other teams last year, and it wasn't successful. Yeah, we know, but we were thinking that, you'll be able to
dial it in.
Do something, yeah. And I said, okay, so fast forward with a little encouragement and paying me. So they gave me a salary to run it.
Nice.
And I took on the 440, and they had a special intake manifold they were working on. So that became available, and I worked out that deal. And this car was so successful that it chased all the Cobra Jets and the 454 Chevys out of G and F. And this was the car to beat. And it didn't have near the power that they had, but I had the torque. I had so much torque that this car left on the bumper all the time without a trans brake. But I used only the 2-barrel carburetor part of the package.
Really?
Yeah, and at the end of the first gear, the two 500 CFMs, 1000 CFM comes in, and down the road I went. So I figured it out how to make the most torque. That's the one thing I had. I couldn't outpower the Chevys or the Fords by anything. Well, they made more power, but I made more torque.
Well, Mopar's always been about launching the car with a pinion snubber if it's a torque flight.
And that's 2 Superstock springs and a snubber.
That's it?
That's it.
That's the key.
And that's what I had in my 9.7 Hemi Cuda. Two 002, 003. Yeah, A-body springs with extension and a snubber. And that's what I put in this car, and it was very successful.
That's amazing. One thing I looked at when you were unloading yesterday, these pipes were hitting. Now, you talking about torque. Is that one of your secrets, to run this pipe instead of an open header to get more torque out of the motor?
Yes.
That's what
18-inch was this is 45 years ago technology, but it's still relevant today.
Did you come up with that, or was that already out?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
But I mean,
it was what we did. Everything. When you sit there and say what makes more torque, and I just did everything. Put collectors on it, made more torque. So you do things like you track test it. So you put it on, and if it goes faster, it's a good thing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, most of the things you try don't work. But when it does and the car picks up, the car likes it, you do what the car likes until you get it to where you want it.
Gotcha.
So everything I did on this car that stayed on the car was for torque.
And it was part of...
And I shifted this 6,000.
It was part of you winning all the races you did.
No question.
Because you, from day one, you figured this stuff out.
Yeah.
And the engineers did, like the Ram Charger teams back then, that's what it was all about, was the test and tune.
Yep.
Win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Yep.
So did you have to ever, run against them?
All the time. They beat me every single time.
Really?
Yeah. I never beat the Ram Chargers one time.
Really?
Yeah. Nope. They beat me all the time. I don't know.
Just because they
they were the factory engineers. And so, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm just happy I'm in the final with them if I can be. I want to be as close as them as I can, because they're always the benchmark.
Yeah.
I mean, there's their engineers, and if you think that they don't have cars that go through the assembly line that get double spot welds and change a few things, then you're not dealing with reality. So I always figured they had something a little bit better than I had, and if I just was close. So when all the cars were built in '64, for example, when the Hemis went out there, and there were like 55 or 60 of them, automatics and sticks, I got down to the last 4 cars, and I was the 3rd fastest car. So it was Chargers, Commandos, and Rossi. I was like an independent. I was the fastest independent in the country.
Yeah.
Right next to them, and everybody else, even the other factory cars, were gone.
Well,
There
that's
were just
something.
3 cars.
That's something to be proud of because you did it yourself. You wrenched on it. You figured these things out. You figured how to win
Yeah.
and you weren't trained. At a young age. Your dad didn't have you wrenching on their cars or anything, did he? I grew up from this big, 6 years old. I was doing brake jobs, oil
Well, in the old
changes.
days, you'd say the kid's got a knack for it.
and it led me into
And
the
so,
business
yeah,
I
and so
was in.
when I got with Direct Connection and I became, part of, I've been racing with Chrysler. Not only did I do drag racing, I did Pikes Peak. I won that 4 times.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, and then IMSA road racing. We did that. I won 55 IMSA races. I mean,
What?
my cars did. Yeah, I built every engine in every car.
You been
And-
to Daytona with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the Daytona 500, but IMSA racing sports
the
car.
IMSA,
Yeah.
Well,
And
I'm in Daytona, so that's why I
okay,
asked. I've
cool.
been going there since
Yeah. So,
68.
and so I'm one of the only racers, and I'm still racing, that did drag racing, hill climb, and road racing.
That's crazy.
So nobody transferred over that. They never got one contract guy that did all that stuff.
No.
So I have a really nice background, and I can speak to all this. I painted this car. I did the engine in a car. I mean, I did every engine. I never bought an engine in my life.
I'm an old paint body man myself,
There you go.
so
There you go.
I know what you're talking about there.
I remember Dulux and Supermax, and
Yeah.
I mean,
the early days with the lacquer,
yeah, there you go.
I was spraying cars when I was 16 years old in Dulux, and we would slow the reducer down a little bit. And that was the times when you didn't have a real good booth. We had chains over the axle.
Well, I painted this
for
outside.
static.
I didn't have a booth. I painted in like a barn
That's cool.
in 8 days.
8 days.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
now I have a brand new 2023.
Yes, let's talk about that.
23 body in white, painted white already. They painted it knuckle white. It was the show body for the bodies in white that we carried around when I went to the Direct Connection events.
Gotcha.
And I got that body, and now it's being built as a new super stock sister to this. So this is the 70 first Challenger. The 23 is the last Challenger. I have the bookends, the first one and the last one. And
That's
they're both
neat.
going to be the new class. It's factory super stock, and we'll be running it in that class. We have
You'll
Phil
be
and
at-
Tony Mondella,
Yep.
PMR. They're going to be doing the build. They did the build on this. And Blackbird, Big Power Mentality out of Tennessee. We'll be riding the power. And Tony's going to drive it.
You're not going to drive.
No, he's a better driver. He's a way better person to drive it than I am. So we want to be competitive. So we want somebody. We don't want to just see if Paul Rossi doesn't fall out of his seat. We want to make
gotcha.
sure. We want to go out there and
Kick some ass.
well, I don't know about that. We want to go out there and make them proud.
Yeah. Well, it's neat that you're building another one that's going to be a clone as far as color and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
gonna be
In fact, we
exact.
even got some of the stripes on it already. It's on the internet. Yeah, we've got this basic. Yeah, it's exactly like this.
Yeah.
So the idea here is that everything's going to be available on that car. I don't sell anything, but PMR, Mandela Race Cars, they are going to sell the back half kit.
Gotcha.
So they're going to actually make all the tubes. They're going to computer bend them so that you can buy the kit that goes in this car. You'll be able to buy everything that goes. When I say this car, the new car.
Gotcha.
You'll be able to buy everything that goes in that car, including the engine pieces and all that. That you can buy that through Blackbird. So there's going to be 2 places. I got a great team, so it's a dream team.
You're going to be in the Factory X.
No.
not Factory X.
No,
Soup.
Blackbird's in the Factory X, or was, but he'll be back, I assume. I'm in this new class called Superstock.
Okay. Yeah.
Factory Superstock.
I was just at
that
US
means,
Nationals.
that's the factory cars that you see, like the drag pack car
Sure.
and I guess the Coyote Mustang, all that.
Yeah.
Okay, they now have a class for those cars, and you put the big tires on it. You can back half it, so it's called Factory Superstock. We'll be one of the first cars in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You'll be at US Nationals next year?
Oh,
Without a
I
doubt.
hope to shout. I mean, God willing.
Well, I'm going to be checking with you, and we'll be looking at that car then because I'll be there.
Yeah,
with-
Mopar collector guide is going to follow the car all the way through. They were there when I received the car, so they're going to follow the build all the way through, and so you'll be able to see it on Mopar TV and Mopar collector guide and follow the build, and everything will be out. You'll see whatever we do.
Well, I'll get to see the finished product next year in
I hope
Indy.
so. Yeah.
Let's hope it's
Yeah,
done.
No doubt we'll be there, and we'll be at the Dream Cruise in Detroit.
Oh, cool.
And
cool.
then and then we're showing this car, but we'll be racing that one with Tony.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Paul, I was really enthused about getting an interview with you, and I've got some with the others. This is a really good one. I love your story.
Thank you.
And how you started wrenching on stuff yourself without any training and just figured it out yourself with common sense and good smarts about you,
Thank
and
you.
that's something to be said about that, So I look forward to seeing you next
Thank
year,
you.
sir.
Thank you, everybody. I
US
hope you found that
Nationals.
interesting. And we'll see you at the race cat.
Gotcha. Thank you,
Yeah.
Paul.
And when
Appreciate
you're
you.
polishing that car, get some mothers.
Gotcha. Thanks, Paul.